All right, let's get it all out.
Shit.
Piss.
Fuck.
Cunt.
Cocksucker.
Motherfucker.
Tits! Welcome to GayTalk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish. Ouchie poo, I got a boo-boo. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, back to GayTalk 2.0, an LGBT podcast streaming live on Digital Stream Radio. You can listen live every Monday at 6:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can access that live stream by visiting Digital Stream Radio. We're doing something a little bit different today. I'm Tom. I'm one of the hosts here on the show, and today we have a guest host who's joining us, so I'll have her say hi.
Hi, it's Elci.
And of course, as always, sitting on the other side of me here is...
Good to be with you guys. It's Chris.
And I would like to welcome you all to a special episode. It is a year in review. We're not doing the usual for you guys, but we're super happy to be back. It's been 2 weeks since we've been on the air, and we're excited. So, because we took 2 weeks off. Imagine that.
2 weeks. I couldn't believe you allowed the first one. We knew that this Monday we were going to, or last week we were going to be off, but even the one before, Tom was like, yeah. Who doesn't want to do it this week? I was like, me.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there was a lot going on. And so, we decided that it was best if we just take a break. Sometimes you just get burnt out with all the things that are going on in life. And the holiday season is one of those, times of year that it gets really busy and crazy. And so, yeah.
Oh, and I was carless too that Monday.
That's right. And so it made sense. So, it just worked out, and we're back. We're nice and refreshed. We are missing Trish, or AKA Nick, because he's been away for the past 2 weeks.
Well, we're not missing. She's just not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
I
going
miss
to
you.
kill you.
She
I
ain't
miss
here.
you, Trish.
Aw.
Aw.
She ain't here to defend herself. So the claws are away. It's
well,
nice.
that's true. So she's in Florida visiting family and enjoying himself down there.
We're doing
and
face masks with Dad.
That's right. I was like, you better work, yes. Because he was so cute. He's just leaning back, and it's just like it's all over his face. He's just like whatever. And of course, she's texting, isn't she, Chris?
What?
You're in trouble.
Why? What did I do?
Mm.
Oh,
I don't know.
all caps. Love
So,
you, Trish.
So before we jump into what we're going to be talking about today, I just wanted to sort of kind of just quickly go over what we've been up to very quickly over the last 2 weeks, and I have a question for you, for both of you, Chris.
I don't know what I've been doing.
So school.
Yeah,
right?
school finished, but then my online class for the winter started yesterday, so that's fun and exciting.
So you were telling me, interesting. You were telling me. So this is not a normal. I'm going to, take a class that's going to be like what 8, 9, 10 weeks. This is a 15-day course.
Mm-hmm.
So you're literally ramming.
It's a accelerated course. It's you do it during the winter semesters. So yes, it is 15 days, and essentially it's about a week's worth of work a day.
Wow,
So
that's intense.
yeah, my ass needs to get home and read like 3 chapters tonight. It's all online, but if you fall behind, you miss a day, you're a week behind.
Absolutely. I struggled with the 8 weeks
Yeah.
format that I did.
Yeah, it can be intense. Like, it was a very difficult semester this past semester. I did really well in 2 of my classes, decent in one of them. Not so happy about the French class, but hey, I still got my credits. So, Oi!
Sorry.
I still got me 55 credits. So
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll tell to you what people say to me when I obsess about my GPA. Nobody's going to look at that on your diploma.
I know, but
You're going to be fine.
no, and I'm one of those people. I'm very anal when it comes to my GPA because
know.
one, I want to get those scholarships.
Right.
But all my friends keep saying they're not going to look at that. But I was like, but again, I want that scholarship money. So I'm going to make sure that I get a 4.0 this upcoming semester.
You better.
You can do it.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Mm-hmm.
So Miss Elci, welcome back.
Hi.
She is, as we would say, a very popular guest on our show. So much
Absolutely.
so that they went on Apple Podcast and literally put in a review that they loved Elci and wanted her to be a reoccurring guest on our show.
That was super exciting to me.
And
Yes.
she's been with us actually several times, and we love having her in place. And unfortunately, the only time she comes now that she's done with school, you may see her a bit more, but usually
Yes.
she's here when one of you
One of
boys
us are right.
is away. And damn, who's gonna replace me when I take a break?
Trish,
Oh Lord, have mercy.
we've done it before.
Oh, that last time, that breath
Whew,
at the end.
That was.
Whew.
that was.
It'll still be me, Tom.
Good.
Of course.
Good.
Absolutely.
Trish,
Absolutely.
she won't let you sit in this chair though.
Oh, no, no,
I'm
no,
sure.
no. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no.
I don't think I would want to.
So how are you? What have you been up to for the past 2 weeks?
I am great. In the past 2 weeks, I both turned 40 and got my degree.
Well, happy birthday.
So thank you.
I think someone deserves claps there.
Yes.
Girl makes it work.
Thank you.
So, you are super smart, you're super caring, you're super loving. People love you. I love you.
I
And-
totally want to come here all the time.
And,
if
you know,
that's how
and-
you're gonna
and-
talk to me.
and of course there's tits.
Yes.
Right?
There
Tits.
are tits.
Get it all out. Get it all
Yes.
out. Cocksucker tits, cunt.
Lord, okay, so we have to
Yeah,
explain,
we do have to explain
we have to
this.
explain that opener, but I'm gonna let you wrap up first what you were doing and what you did, and then we'll explain why we chose to do that opener.
That has been just the biggest thing over the last 2 weeks. My mom has spinal surgery and she's doing excellent.
Good.
So
Well, that's good
been
news.
great. And so now I have the pressure of turning 40, getting a degree, and my mother's surgery off my back. And so it's gonna be.
What will
Smooth
she ever
sailing.
do?
I know. And I also got a new car,
That's
Yay.
right.
which
Which
I
she
don't know how
can't
to
use.
use.
It's all buttons and all digital and stuff. And
Oh.
she can't figure it out. So,
can't.
so what you were telling me that you don't have a normal like
There's
lever
no
to put it in
there's
park.
no gear, right? There's no gear thingamajig.
So she has to push
Phallus.
buttons to put it in
Phallus.
drive or reverse. And
What is this,
so-
like a fucking Tesla or something?
Listen, it's not, but I keep. So I finally went to New York, right? Because here is not such a big deal, but I keep confusing the park with the reverse, and I bumped into 3 cars in the
Oh
Bronx.
my God.
But even without that situation, it's normal to bump into cars in the city.
Is
This
this
is
one of those
true.
cars that
This
like
is true.
parks it for you?
It's got.
If it is, she
it's-
hasn't figured it out.
It's like-
I'm pretty sure that, like, I think it flies.
right,
I just
it's
haven't
like
figured out the button, and it came with like a drone because I could see a nice a bird's eye view.
oh my God.
And so I tell my brother, I want to see my drone because I think my car came with a drone.
Oh my God. It flies, it shoots flames, it can blow you.
It's like,
You just
as-
got to figure out all the
As
buttons.
long as I figure out the button, I'm going to get there. Yeah, so it's a big running joke because I'm always super behind on technology. I had a 2005 Galant. It was analog.
I'm gonna start calling her Elci.
So
Oh
it
my
was
God,
a
that's
lot.
too funny.
Just so you have an idea, I still have an iPhone 6.
Oh my God.
Which is not compatible with my car.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, high tech is shit Star Trek car, and you can't even work your iPhone
Right,
with it.
right.
Girl, I get
so-
it. Mine's the same, yeah.
That is too funny. All right, so let's discuss this opener that we did today. Right, we said a lot of crazy words, but those are 7 actual words that are forbidden in terrestrial radio to be said on air. And because we're not terrestrial radio, we're online based, we are not FCC regulated, but the FCC requires that those words are completely omitted from any broadcast that's transmitted on a public radio network. Why are we talking about this? All right, so I'll tell you. So one of our listeners, Ed, who he is the host of a show called LGBTQ Radio, and it's broadcasted on WPFM FM 89.3 in Washington, D.C. So Ed has been going back and forth with the cast of the show, and he had asked us if we wanted to come on his show and talk about things that are happening in our community, etc. And we were like, absolutely. So Nick, myself, and Chris will be joining him tomorrow at the 3 p.m. 2 p.m. time slot on that radio station to discuss these important issues that are going on in our community. And so they sent us a warning. Rightfully so, because we're very vocal and very explicit on the show.
I'm very nervous.
And so I was like, holy shit. So when we
You
got
just said it! You just said shit.
Take this as a practice round.
Exactly. That's what I
Okay.
said. We got to get it all out. Get it all out. Get it all out.
So and of course Jess Brandis will also be joining us. She'll be coming on as well. She'll be in Philly.
So Jess is going to
called-
be on, and I can't mention tits.
Do you see what I'm talking about? This is going to be like such a huge thing. And so when we got the email from Ed, he had sent us a warning indicating to us what we could and could not say. And it says, please remember that unlike you lucky bastards, meaning us, we are FCC regulated. And since we're on radio, terrestrial radio, all guests must refrain from using these 7 words, and that's why we started the show off with that opener.
Listen them out.
Just get them out of the way, because tomorrow we're going to have to be on our best behavior, and that sucks.
No kidding.
Literally.
That fucking cock sucks.
That's fucking awesome.
So, but
Good
we're
for
excited.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're excited. It's a really good opportunity for us to do something other than swear like truckers, and make meaningful sense to things that are happening and are going on in our community.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
I mean, boners are fun and everything, but, we got a job to do out
But
there.
you can't say tits. That's one of the words. Tits, out of all things.
I know. What about titties?
I don't know. You know what? Just don't risk it.
Okay.
We're gonna hear like beep
Yeah.
beep throughout the whole
That's
broadcast.
such a valid question. What about and piss? Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I don't understand. Piss?
I kind of feel like this
Ass
whole
wasn't on there.
tits thing is due to
Ooh.
such an asshole. That wasn't on there.
No, it wasn't.
Um,
But even on I feel like on television, I know it's a different with FCC, is different with FCC, but I think that you can say ass, but they blurp out hole. Like I think it's
Possibly.
yeah. So
Let's just be good and refrain from using any words that are questionable.
Yeah, don't
Like
live in the
snatch.
gray area.
Yeah, like
Taint.
Yeah, just don't. Let's not go there.
dick cheese.
It's gonna be.
Oh wait, dick was on there, right?
You could just call them Richard.
No, you said cocksucker. You can't say cocksucker.
Oh, but can you then say dick? That's
Right.
good.
It's, I don't know. Maybe if you call it a penis or something. I don't know.
Just refrain from naming body parts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Just it's gonna
Below
be
the
hard.
neck.
It's gonna be hard.
Oh, yeah,
So-
below the neck. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Just from up here. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna do my best. I'm going to do my best.
I'm so going to listen.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited, and I can't wait. So we'll post all the information, obviously, on tonight's post regarding the link and where you can access and listen to that live broadcast with us, the cast of Gay Talk 2.0, on the show. Again, and that radio station is, because, I don't remember acronyms too well. Here we go.
It was like 89.
It is WPFM 89.3, and the show is called Inside Out LGBTQ Radio.
And this will be the 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time slot
That's
for those who are going to be chimming in.
Gracias, Senor Chris.
That's what I'm here for.
All right, so we decided that instead of doing a dishy episode, which we could have, we've got a lot of materials to cover. And Mama Kim, thank you for sending us so much stuff.
Hi, Mama Kim.
Right?
We
I'm
love
so excited.
you.
She friended me on Facebook, and I felt like a superstar.
It's official. I mean, she is pretty much a correspondent here on Gay Talk.
Yes.
Is that Trish?
Yes, that is. Should I answer it?
Oh, fucking answer. Let her
All
in.
right. You're lucky I love you. Hi.
Telling me not to call in. I don't know who she thinks she is.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Hey, girl.
Shit, piss, fuck. I'm not going to say that. Cocksucker, motherfucker, tits.
Tits!
That's it.
I'm
Get them
proud
all
of you.
out. Get them all out now.
Oh, no, I did. Actually, I had you guys on LiveStream, and I'm sitting next to my mother.
Oh, my
and
God.
You guys started, and she looks at me. She's like, why are you saying all of that? I'm like, Mom, I'm not.
I'm not there. I'm right here.
This is why I specifically told my mother she's not allowed to listen to the show any longer.
Oh, my mom wants to today, out of all days.
Your mother's
Today.
listening right now?
I think she is. Her and my nephew, because I told her I was going to be late. I brought her up. 'Cause I'm
Literally
good.
9 words in, it's just garbage from
I'm
that
so
point
sorry.
forward.
I'm so sorry, Mrs. Perez. Forgive us.
Mom, I'm sorry I didn't know.
Lo siento.
It
Pero
happens.
somos.
It's fine.
That's what we are. So how are you, Trish?
I'm good. I just had my first cocktail. So
Wait, can we say cocktail?
I think we can.
Okay.
cocktail.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right,
No,
because
no,
it's
you
in
I
like
don't
can't.
think we can say
cocksucker.
that on
You
air.
can. You
No,
have
not
to call
tomorrow.
it a penis tail.
Penis tail.
Because you have to be appropriate.
Oh my God.
Um,
So anyway, you were
yeah.
saying, Trish?
No, I'm good. Everything's good. I just wanted to call because you told me not to.
Oh well, I know.
Sounds about
Love
right.
that.
Well, I was actually gonna hang up on you, like answer, say hello, and hang up, and then call you back and piss you off. But I felt that
Honestly,
would.
You
I
just
thought
said
you weren't gonna
piss.
Pick up.
Yeah, I know. But no, well, I'm happy your vacation is going wonderful, and everyone, the family's all good.
Yeah, Chris and my brother got engaged.
That's fantastic.
Yay!
Yeah, it was super exciting.
And how's
And
Daddy's
he actually
face?
did a really. Oh, it's good. I did it for my mom and my dad.
Oh, nice.
My mom needs another application, but that's fine.
Lord have mercy.
I'm surprised
All
you were
right.
sharing your stock.
I know that shit's expensive.
I know, and girl, you know you need that.
I know. You've seen my face. Hello.
You need that Bondo kit.
Your face is beautiful. Don't let them tell you different.
Thank you, Elci. I
You're
miss
welcome.
you.
I miss you. I love you.
I love you. Has anybody tried the method douching kit yet?
No, but I have them
No.
right behind me, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my god, I want to do it so bad.
So we will obviously mention that at some point. Chris is getting them.
All
He's
right. Well,
got it.
look, I'll let you go. I'll let you get back to the show. I love you guys.
All right,
do
love
a
you
great
too,
job.
honey.
Bye.
We love you. Happy New Year.
Bye. Happy New Year.
All right, so that was Trish. She
Aw.
called in 5 minutes. Good. Amazing. I love her. All right, so listen, we do need to get into some of the stuff that we wanted to cover. So what
Yeah.
we decided that we were going to do on today's show is go through a rundown of very like high octane, big news items that happened throughout the entire
Mama Kim just texted me.
Yeah.
throughout the entire year, right? To sort of kind of like summarize things that we've covered on the show, things that happened throughout the year, to sort of kind of bring everything into perspective and then just leave it all behind in 2019 and move into 2020 with a fresh perspective and a new hunger for more stories and more news and more things and hopefully better outcomes for situations in the LGBT community.
And it's also important to reflect on some of the issues or stories that we had talked about in the past to see, if anything was done to take care of the issue that was at hand.
Mhm.
If there's constant stalemates going on, or if we're
That's right.
really growing, or if we're repressing from these things that we had talked about over the past 365 days.
So it's a big list, and we're going to try to get through as many as we can before we go to break. I'll kick it off. Should I?
I want to take this one
All right. Well, you go for it.
because
my
that's
friend.
my guy. For the first time in American history, a member of the LGBT community is he's fighting for the Democratic presidential nomination. Mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg, 37 years old, proudly married to his husband Chasten. He's served multiple tours in the Middle East. I believe he was in the Army,
Mhm.
the United States Army, and he's doing a phenomenal job. He's been out on the campaign roads. He was a very strong candidate on the debate stages, and I think that he's definitely a contender to take on the president eventually. He's soaring well in Iowa, and the fact of what he's been able to accomplish this year alone is absolutely
incredible.
It really is for American history, for LGBT history. He's really an icon
You know,
He's just a great representation of the country.
of the
He
country.
served the
Exactly.
country. He's happily married in a monogamous relationship. He's got all these great values, and I think
And he's a man of faith.
and he's a man of faith. So he's such an exemplary human being. I
Mhm.
think in terms of representing the country as a whole.
Agreed.
and I think that there's a lot of criticism that's been received, especially within the LGBT community, because there's questions that he may not be the right type. Like he's not gay enough.
I know. I hate
I'm like,
him.
how gay do you have to be to put yourself out there
As
and
a gay
say-
man.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
a gay man, and say, hey, husband,
Yeah, being gay is gay enough.
I'm going to run for president, and you do realize this is going to put us in a situation where everything that we do is going to be scrutinized, and you do realize that this is going to put us in a situation where we might get death threats, and people might attempt to take my life. Are you okay with that? Like, this is what this man is doing, and no matter where you stand on the LGBTQI plus spectrum, it is important to recognize that in 2019, a gay man and his husband are both running for president and first man of the United States of America.
Mhm.
If that is not representation enough for our community, we need to get our shit together, seriously, because it is incredible that we can at least say now, right? The last time we had a significant member of the LGBT community become one of the first, city managers was Harvey Milk, and he
Mhm.
was murdered while he was doing his job, and who was also an active service member of the armed forces in the U.S. and served. And so, this is significant. So we need to, I think that we need to reconcile the fact that this is historic in the making for our community, and somehow we need to get our shit together within our community.
Absolutely. When you look at the last debate, Amy Klobuchar was going at him, of course, because since he's now soaring in the polls, he's going to become a target.
That's right.
Of course. So she was criticizing his electability, and he, without skipping a beat, came out and said, I was reelected with over 80% of the vote as a gay dude in Mike Pence's Indiana.
I know.
That's
That man is electable. That man
So-
is electable.
No, I'm just saying that, there is a very, very, very huge possibility that we may end up with a president in the United States of America that's intelligent, that actually deserves to be there, who just happens to be gay and is married to a man, which is amazing. Which, by the way, it's been legal since 2015 when the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that same-sex marriage was constitutional. So I'm just throwing that out there for all of our amazing folks that listen to the show.
Tom, if I may correct you, he will be the first gentleman.
Yes.
Respect
yes.
the title.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
Sorry, baby. Something Trish obviously has issues with, because Trish wanted to be first lady, and so that's going to be an issue.
That's right.
So, but
She'll get over
it.
See?
All
It's
right.
like we've been doing this for 3 years or something.
So, number 2, something that we thought would never happen, right? I would probably say going back 6-7 months ago, when we were talking about the prospects of having an impeachment inquiry into the impeachment of Donald Trump, we said to ourselves, it may pass in the House, but this may never come to fruition. They might let it ride out and have the country elect him either elect him or push him out of office through voting. But boy, was I wrong. I didn't think that we would get here, but we were, and we are. And the U.S. House of Representatives this December 19th, the actual 20th anniversary of the impeachment of the last president that got impeached, he got impeached. The House of Representatives actually impeached Donald J. Trump. And although the prospects of him getting removed from office are slim, this is a title that, unfortunately, like many other things that, fortunately for us, many other things that he's done, like, for example, dodge all these lawsuits and, do all these back alley, like, fucked up deals that this man does. This is a title that he's never going to be able to get rid of. This is something which shows that he has now been held accountable to an extent, and that his legacy is stained for the rest of his life. And even if he doesn't get removed from office, I can live with that. I can totally live with that.
Since the dawn of our nation, 45 presidents in, he's number 3
Yeah.
Yep.
to ever be impeached.
Yep.
Which is important, because impeachment is not something that should be thrown around lightly or
Right.
taken lightly.
And it isn't.
Exactly, agreed. And this will forever stain his legacy. He
Yeah.
will be the 3rd president of the United States
He can't
to have been impeached.
He can't dodge this like he did the
The draft.
the draft.
The draft, exactly.
So
yeah, your bone spurs ain't going to get you out of this, kid.
exactly. So that was big news. That happened in 2019, and obviously that the ramifications of that vote and how things are playing out are still happening, and more evidence and more testimony may be possible. There's still things that are being discovered now, even after all of the conclusion of the impeachment proceedings in the House. So I mean, we still got a lot more to learn about what's really happening, in the back channels of what goes on in this administration. So
Absolutely.
interesting. So Chris, why don't you take that third one?
Yeah, this is something that we had talked about recently. As we know now, the Supreme Court of the United States has a conservative majority, and they are set to take on 3 landmark LGBTQ plus cases that can significantly affect the lives of millions of people across our nation. The 3 cases that the court is expected to hear are the Altitude Express versus Zarda, which was when the skydiving instructor, who is no longer with us, claimed that he was removed from his position because he was gay. The second is the Bostock versus Clayton County, where a Georgia County employee claimed to be terminated for the same causes or same reasons. And the third case is the Harris Funeral Homes versus EEOC, which involves someone who is a trans woman who was working at the funeral home, was fired, and she said it was because of her sexual identity that she was removed from her position. So these are 3 landmark cases that we're going to see the court taking up, I believe, starting in 2020.
what I thought they heard arguments.
Well,
We just have-
they had heard arguments, but this is something that's going to continue to go through the court, and they're going to start to have more hearings. This also follows with the Baker's case with the cake out in Colorado.
Mhm.
Was it Colorado when it basically sent it back down
I believe so.
to the lower court. So they did not make a hearing, but they pretty much set a precedence there that this court is leaning to the right, and they're not going to hear these cases anymore.
Which is why it's very imperative that we pay attention to what's going on, especially with these three cases, because this could, as Chris mentioned, affect millions of people within the LGBT community, and on how we live our daily lives and what employers are allowed to do, and even regular folks who own businesses, what they can and cannot do to you, right?
Mhm.
And so it's something that we'll keep watching closely.
And you have to remember, this is something that's going to continue with this administration. Donald Trump put forward the Denial of Care Act, which was eventually scrubbed. It was struck down, but that would have put millions of Americans' lives at risk. You know, should a physician claim that it is against their religious freedoms and their religious beliefs to aid a human being because of who they pray to at night. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's intense, and we shall see what transpires out of that. We just obviously have to wait for this to percolate in the courts and figure out what decision is rendered.
Absolutely.
And when that happens, well, I guess we'll know what our fates are.
Mm-hmm.
So, Elci, would you like to read our next one? You can.
Absolutely,
All right,
because this makes me super excited because of the history of some of these countries when
Yeah.
it comes to civil rights and the LGBT community. So, this year we had a few countries that legalized same-sex marriage, and that was Austria, Taiwan, the first country in Asia
Yep.
to do it. So
Mhm.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a huge milestone.
And then we have Ecuador and Northern Ireland.
That's right.
This year.
And
So-
Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, which legalized marriage equality, I believe, back in 2013. But they were kind of holding on to it. And Austria, it's another one that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on, because Austria recently elected a very far right conservative
Right.
chancellor to the head of their government. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play, even though their constitution said that same-sex marriage is protected under the Austrian constitution.
Austria is interesting too, because Austria has always been so avant-garde when it comes to the arts, when it comes to civil, and I don't know where they went wrong. Where did they take that left turn?
The thing when it comes to Austria, it's one of those nations, when you're looking at the influx of refugees that are coming over from the Middle East, a lot of people, the time I spent in Austria, I heard more English or non-German language, non-German speakers
Right.
speaking. So I think when it's coming to Austria and why you're starting to see these far-right reactionaries being elected into office, is that they feel that their culture is under
At
attack.
risk, right.
Exactly, even more at risk. Yeah, so that's why you're starting to see leaders come to power in nations such as Austria, and fighting for it in nations like France, where luckily Macron was able to secure the presidency, or even Angela Merkel, where she had to fight for her political life to remain Chancellor of Germany
remain chancellor,
against
right.
the alternative for Germany is the alt-right political groups.
It's intense, but you know what? Congratulations to these countries for moving forward with human rights and accepting and legalizing and recognizing that LGBTQ peoples, we're human and we deserve every right to love who we love, and to reap the benefits of being in love with someone and being able to get benefits, etc. So it's a really good thing.
And even we had talked about it in Poland. Now Poland is still a far way away from getting to this level, but they are an incredibly religious and far right country, and some of their government officials were marching in the Pride Parade in
Yep.
Warsaw. So there's hope in these nations. We've talked about Romania. We've talked about Bulgaria. We've had different representatives and activists from different countries come on. So Europe is on the rise to really hoping to protect more human rights.
Yeah, Romania legalized it last year, I think. We
Well,
talked about it.
I believe it wasn't that they didn't
No,
legalize it. They had to acknowledge it because
Right.
of the
Because of
EU.
the
They
lawsuit, yeah.
decriminalized it, is
Right.
what they did, I
Mhm.
think. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, congratulations to these countries, and we'll move it right along because we've got a very long list. So I wanted to, obviously, this was something that was very impactful this year in 2019. On January 4th, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the other Democratic Congresswomen posed for a picture outside of the U.S. Capitol. The record number of women that were elected to the House of Representatives actually allowed for the Democratic Party to gain the majority in the House of Representatives, and also afforded us an opportunity to hold the current president accountable. If it wasn't for these amazing women, I don't think that we would have been able to do as much as we did, and to block as much as we have with this crazy loose cannon government that we currently have in the White House. So anyway,
you're speechless. I get it.
but it is incredible. You're
it's
right.
really
and
hard to define it.
not only that, not only the fact that it was a record number of women, it is also a record for being the most diverse
Absolutely.
Congress that we've ever seen in our history, and especially when you look on the Democratic side. You still got a whole bunch of white old men on the Republican side, but when you really look at the diversity that was elected into this last Congress, it is absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
to see.
seeing the amount of women alone, but then women of color
That's right.
being brought in, women of different faiths.
Not only are they women of color, these are, like, for example, there are 4 women that are really riding this whole, they call them, what do they call them? They call them
The Big Four, is it?
no, the gang.
The gang.
The gang.
The gang, yeah.
And it's Ayanna Presley, I believe, Omar Iman. Oh God, I forgot her name. I'm struggling here. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
yeah.
or everyone knows her as AOC.
And Talib.
And Talib, God, I can't remember her name. But anyway, those 4 have been causing a lot of ruckus in the Democratic Party and in Congress, and I'm super proud of them.
Yeah.
Do you speak up and do what you got to do? It's funny because Talib, when she got elected, during her acceptance speech, she literally said, "We're gonna impeach this motherfucker," and they try to censor her in the House and try to chastise her for saying that, and she held to her guns and said it. And guess what? We impeached the motherfucker. Peace out. So good for them. I'm proud of them, and I think we need to see more of this. I would like to see more women in positions of in political positions, because I think that when you involve everyone, decisions made specifically for women get made with a well thought out group of people who should actually be making these decisions instead of angry old white men. Did I say that right?
I think so.
You did.
Okay. All right. So one more before we go.
Yeah, just finish it off with this. It kind of goes along with it.
All right. So, of course, there was some controversy when Nancy Pelosi decided that she was going to allow Donald Trump to come to the House and give a State of the Union. And at first, she denied him. And she said because you couldn't guarantee, there was a federal government shutdown
Right.
at this time. It was one of the longest in U.S. history. Actually, it was the longest
It
government
was.
shutdown in U.S. history. And she said, well, we can't guarantee the safety of our membership and the building, so we're not going to allow you to come here and give a State of the Union until you open government. And she had him by the balls. He had to open government for him to be able to come in and spew his hate on the floor of the House. But the amazing thing was the clap that was heard around the world.
It
Right?
was such a great birthday present for me.
It was like her literally just looking down at him and going like this. That moment, that photo just captured it all in such a way, like her saying, "I'll get you, my little pretty, and your dog too," right?
Your little
Is that
dog,
what-
too.
Your little dog too. And
Mike
she
Pence
did.
is the little dog.
And she did. She got him, right? And it's just incredible, absolutely incredible to see that image. And it was an image that was turned into like an awesome meme. The
Yeah, I've been
meme
using it all week.
Oh, it was incredible.
We
Yeah.
have 11 months to get rid of both Trump and Pence and have her take over the presidency. That would be awesome.
That would be amazing, right? Like we all wanted a woman president. Well, we thought we wanted Hillary Clinton, but we might actually get a woman president if this actually goes through. If he gets removed from the office of the presidency, she is next in line to become
After
president of
Pence.
the U.S.
After Pence,
After
yeah.
Pence. Well, get him out. Get him out.
I did, because when you mentioned female president, it also brought me back to the last debate we just had. And Elizabeth Warren, she's a firecracker.
Mhm.
So one of the commentators or moderators, excuse me, started with saying, if elected to Senator Warren, if elected, you would be the oldest person ever elected president. Without skipping a beat, she goes, but I'd be the youngest woman. Oh, and I was like, yes, Elizabeth Warren.
She
It's
better
got
work.
some perspective.
That's right. That's amazing. And so I'm super, super excited to see what transpires. Like the whole circus, to watch how this all plays out in media and even in live TV, and to see all these proceedings and just how crazy the Republican Party is right now is just incredible to see. We're literally watching history before our eyes.
Mhm.
Seriously, and then all of the post comments after impeachment, you're really going to sit there and compare him to Jesus?
Yeah.
I kind of sort of stopped watching because I'm like, okay, so clearly this is a fucking joke. A joke.
I say to myself,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I don't know how much more I can take of this crazy circus. And
It's a lot. It's a lot. He's like seriously, you're comparing it to. I mean,
yeah.
He also said no president's been treated worse than he
bro.
has. Yeah, 4 were shot. So pretty sure that was a little bit worse than you're going
And
for.
one was
bit.
assassinated.
A little bit. I mean,
More than one was assassinated.
2 of them. Yeah, that's
There
right.
you go. That's right.
2
You had
were
to think about it too.
Yeah, no, because
you remember that one?
No, well,
the famous one.
Yeah. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. It's the truly. Forgive us. All right. Well, listen, we have more on this list. We have a couple more things that we want to run through, and then we'll come back and go through those. But we're going to take a break because we need to, go be drug addicts. And so we're going to take a break, and let me just put this little thing here.
That was so C-wordy.
We'll be right back.
It's hard to see you with a man you call your friend, but in the end, I know I don't have much time to tell you why I wanna die, but then I cry, so then I lie, so I don't make you bend time. 'Cause if you wanted me to move, you know I would, because I'm good at making you love me. And if I said I needed more than I came for, would you ignore me making you love me? So baby, play me on your loudspeaker. If you don't mind, 'cause I can feel it in my body burn when you play tight. Why don't you read my line like you used to? 'Cause I have lost my mind, wondering why. 'Cause everybody's on my side about you and I, making our love intertwine. But baby, this is goodbye. 'Cause if you wanted me to move, you know I would, because I'm good at making you love me. And I wanna have it. And if I said I needed more than I came for, would you ignore me making you love me? So baby, play me on your loudspeaker. If you don't mind, 'cause I can feel it in my body burn when you play tight. So baby, play me on your loudspeaker. If
right, welcome back, ladies and gents, from the break. That was the incredible Pat Riley with Time, and we're back to our list of the notable moments in 2019 that, and a review of what we've covered here on the show previously, and we're just gonna keep going down this a very awesome list. So we were outside taking a break, talking about our us drug addicts talking about our edible
Oh, you just
edible
can't let it go.
experiences and our experiences with edible items, and then that's all we're gonna say about that. But anyway, speaking of crazy things that happened in 2019, let's talk about actor Jussie Smollett.
Jussie.
Ugh.
Isn't it Jussie?
Jussie Smollett. So this was an interesting thing. I remember when this happened, we were like rooting for him, right? Because what ended up happening was in January of 2019, he basically made a report saying that he was attacked by two people yelling out racial slurs and homophobic slurs, and that they had poured bleach on him and tied a rope around his neck, et cetera, et cetera. And then later on, throughout the investigation, we found out that it may have been something that was staged
Mhm.
by him to get notoriety and to avoid being kicked out of the show and being paid more because he thought he wanted to be paid more. But in either case, the Chicago PD ended up starting an investigation, and then it ended up being that he was the one that was actually being looked at. He was charged, and then those charges were dropped after the actor forfeited his bail money and did community service, and it turned into a whole big shit show. But I remember on the show, when it first happened, we were horrified.
We
and
were.
mortified of the fact that this could happen in 2019, and we were rooting for him because he is part of our community. He's an out gay actor, and it was just incredible to think that that could happen, and then it turned into this.
Because we were dumbfounded when it leaked that, or it became aware that it was possibly staged. We never would have thought that someone would make something like this up, like with such a victimized community over the past years.
Right.
That immediately, of course, we were rooting for him because we really thought that this man was victimized. And when you come at our community, when you come at one, you come at all of us.
That's right.
And we were ready to stand up behind this man 100%.
And we did.
And we did. You're absolutely right.
And we did.
And multiple senators and representatives were calling out for his support and really talking down to the perpetrators who committed such a heinous act. But then it really came out to see that none of this really happened the way it was. I mean, there was video proof of the men purchasing the masks that they wore and buying the rope that they were using, that I believe Jussie Smollett actually gave them the money to get and everything. And
I think he even paid them with a check or something. It's like,
come on,
That's
Really?
it.
really? You want to have it linked like that?
it's incredible, what people will go through for attention. But it was heartbreaking because we really were rooting for him, and we were devastated when that happened, and come to find out that it wasn't true. So,
But
what is
it's-
your analysis of the situation, Miss
It
Elci?
just disgusts me because it's not even the fact that you're an idiot for doing something so outrageous for attention, but you are also putting the entire community at risk,
That's right.
because what you did is give the public the opportunity to question now
Mm-hmm.
whenever there is any kind of violence, violation, abuse committed against anyone in the community. That's what he did, was essentially set the stage for that to happen,
Mm-hmm.
which to me is just unforgivable.
Absolutely.
And we already had the president on the news at that point in time, lambasting the LGBT community, specifically also going against our transgender men and women in the military.
Mhm.
And so this was just outrageous. When we found out what the actual truth was, I was horrified, because I was saying to myself, this is going to give that asshole in the White House more ammunition to go out and just start spewing more hate against our community.
And it really does hurt the movements that are out there, because when you look at the whole Me Too movement,
Mhm.
when some people
I
were
was gonna go there.
yeah, when some people were found to be fabricating their stories, that puts a dark shadow across the entire movement. These people who were truly victimized by men of power, and you have people that are coming out for either attention or whatever they're personally looking for. It really dampens the entire movement, and it brings it up to scrutiny. Now every person who comes forward and tells their story, it's going to be scrutinized, down
Right.
to the Supreme Court nominees.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That it's I can't.
It's just disgusting, and
It
it
really
shouldn't have
is.
never happened. And all we can say is shame on you. Let's. I hope you find peace and go forward in life doing amazing and awesome things and do good by others, because what you have done, no, you
It was
shouldn't.
hurtful, and it's
Yeah.
you bring up the Me Too movement, and I was so upset to have to explain that to another woman, where she's going on and on and on about what's a big deal. People do stuff like that all the time, and I'm like, you don't think it's a big deal for a woman to claim that she was raped and and essentially compare herself to other victims, and then have us find out that she fabricated it.
Mhm.
It'll put into question every other woman that has been abused,
Mhm.
and their credibility, which to me is unforgivable. You just don't. I,
And not only that,
I can't.
in the midst of all of this, the president, hashtag not mine, was going through this whole issue in where he paid women to keep them silent, and had a publication actually buy the rights to a story to then have that story shelved. This was all going on throughout this whole entire time. And then what it does is, again, it allows people like that in power to be able to do these kinds of things to silence women who are trying to come out and speak the truth. And then you think about the Kavanaugh hearings and having, you know, Blasey
Blasey
Ford
Ford.
go up there and be brave and tell her story, and people just sort of kind of like sent her death threats, and
Mhm.
the woman had to go into hiding, protect her
And
family,
her family, right?
Right.
all because stuff like this makes it nearly impossible for women and victims, even if they were men too, to come forward and tell their story and speak their truth. And then they get questioned and no one believes them, and then they have to sort of kind of retreat and go back into the shell of shame, because you know things like this make it impossible for us to follow due process and allow these people to have their day, to have justice.
And even going beyond sexual exploitation, when you look at the hearings that were going on during the impeachment inquiry, when Yanukovych, what was her name?
Marie Yanukovych,
The
Yovanovitch.
Yovanovitch, thank you,
Sorry.
Yovanovitch.
Sorry.
When she was testifying, in the midst of her testimony, the president is on Twitter attacking her as that's
Right.
going on. He's trying to silence witnesses. It goes to show his zero respect policy for women.
And kudos to Adam Schiff, who stopped the proceedings and started reading the tweets as they were happening.
Absolutely.
While she was testifying
Absolutely.
in Congress.
Mhm.
I was like, holy shit, this man is fucking nuts.
Yeah, no, and Adam Schiff was not. Adam Schiff was not there to fuck around.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's why he did what he
yeah.
did.
Yeah, but I have to tell you that the Republican side of the House was just a complete and utter fucked up mother.
And they voted solely on party lines.
Yeah.
I believe there were 2 Democrats who defected to vote nay.
2, right?
2, but then there was also
Tulsi
Gabbard,
who voted present.
which means she wasn't going to vote on the issue.
Yeah, and that's
On both articles.
That's horrible. It is absolutely horrible. You're a Democratic candidate running for president, because you believe that the person that's in the White House is wrong and doing wrong things. Yet, with all the evidence that was brought forward, she couldn't even bring it upon herself to actually take a position on the issue.
It's going to it's going to look worse for her in the long run anyway.
And
It will.
I don't think she made the last Democratic debate.
No, she didn't. It was
no.
down to 7 at that point.
But if she does make any future debates, it'd be interesting to see how many of them are going to call her out on that shit. I would hope they would.
Oh, they will.
She needs to explain that shit, and she's been radio silent for weeks since that happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But you're not even that strong a candidate.
Yeah.
But you would rather go against what's right and the principle of the entire thing, in the hopes that you're not going to essentially risk some votes.
Right, exactly. She didn't want
You're
to.
not even, bro. Like, really, you're not making it. You could have made that stance, and that could have, in fact, brought you up on those polls.
That's right.
If you had taken that stance.
Sucks to be here. All right, so Chris, why don't you tell us what we have come up with next?
Unfortunately, it's something that's become a harsh reality
That's right.
for
So-
the United States. Not just in the United States, but predominantly the United States is plagued by it more than any other nation. This talk of gun violence.
That's right.
And
A lot of it happened this time.
it really
this
did.
year.
I mean, this is the deadliest year by mass shootings in U.S. history. Granted, the largest shooting was back in, I believe it was 2017 in Las Vegas.
That's right.
But this year alone, we had the most mass shootings, and I believe the first one took place, 19 days into the new year, when a man killed. No, this was with an axe that he used this for, though, but he killed 4 of his family members, including an infant daughter. Following 5 months after that, 12 people were killed in a workplace shooting in Virginia. 22 died at a Walmart in El Paso back in August. And when you look at one, we had the Christchurch massacre in New Zealand, which was solely based on hatred for those who believe in a different faith than you. We had targets in Dayton, Ohio, San Antonio, and like I said, again, El Paso in Texas. The San Antonio massacre was solely based on targeting immigrants and people and people of Hispanic descent.
And I think we even had one that happened at a garlic festival. Was it
in California? There was a shooting at a garlic festival in California, and even today or yesterday, the shooting at a church in Texas.
That's right. It's just, and in this case, they actually apprehended the person, and the people that were there had a huge role in minimizing the impact of what this man could have done because they acted quickly.
Right. There were. I believe they were parishioners as well, but they were like the security forces, so they were armed. Think about that. One, people are armed in churches now.
Right.
That's our reality.
Yeah, it is our reality, and the gunman was able to take out 2 human lives before being taken out himself. But yeah, that's gotten to the point where now we've been, even while I was in high school in the public school system, I saw the integration of firearms into my school. A police officer always present with a firearm. Now you can't go to a Walmart without seeing an armed guard. Before it used to be the airports. You would start to see them at the airports, then you would start to see them at sports stadiums. You would see them, I'll still never forget, not long after the Pulse shooting, which this year was 3 years after the Pulse shooting, standing at the bar at the Stonewall Inn and looking outside and seeing anti-terrorism task force officers standing outside of that building. It's gotten to the point where we are having armed guards, even to the point where they're in places of worship.
And that's a scary part, right? It's like you say to yourself, how can we continue to allow this and not doing anything about it? But it's like, unfortunately, we live in a nation where gun control really is not at the forefront of what we're talking about. We're talking about the stupidity and the Twitter feed of the president. We're really not addressing the issue of the fact that we're losing millions of people every day to gun violence, and nothing is being done about it.
And it's also important when you look at some of the reasons, these are like the arguments will come with it. The Second Amendment was the Second Amendment for a reason in our Bill of Rights. They found it, our founding fathers thought it was so vital to our democracy to be sure that we had the right to bear arms. And this went back to the Keller versus DC case, I believe it was in 2008, where it was really, the court said that everyone has the right to own a firearm. So they use this as, it's so important that it's the Second Amendment, yet the administration and the president sitting at the White House is bastardizing the First Amendment. The First Amendment, by going after the media, by really making sure that only his followers have the freedom of speech. He's bastardizing the most important amendment in our Bill of Rights while saying that we need to protect the Second Amendment because it's the second one there. That's how vital it was to the survival of our democracy.
But that's with like any law and any document, really. You were forging a new nation, and so you needed to. Bearing arms at that point was important,
Of course,
because of the actual threats that existed. You can be invaded. You can have, Britain try and recolonize
They did.
you with that.
1812.
That's no longer the case. So really, we can revise other articles in the Constitution, but not that one.
Exactly.
Not
And
that
then,
one because, there's a lot of money in guns.
absolutely.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then it comes to, and then you also have to look at this was like the biggest thing that we've been talking about throughout the impeachment inquiry. James Madison, his Federalist Papers, one of the biggest things he was talking about was never allowing foreign intervention in our electoral process. Donald Trump has not only allowed it,
He invited
he's invited it
It's invited
from
it.
Ukraine. He's invited it from Russia. He's invited it
From
from the
China.
Chinese.
China.
Exactly. So
on public television, but yet
Exactly.
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's just horrible.
I wanted to keep it on gun violence, and we totally moved to the side. But it is important, talk to your senators, call your representatives. We really need to make sure. Luckily, here in Connecticut, we know that our two senators, Blumenthal and Chris Murphy, they will fight hand and tooth to make sure that we can protect our citizens from this unnecessary and avoidable gun violence.
It's the least we can do. I mean, when you think about, it was just only December 12th. It was the 5th anniversary of the massacre at Sandy Hook school, and where we lost 20 children and 5 or 6 educators in one of the worst massacres in U.S. history. And yet, if that didn't do it, right? I say to myself, if that didn't do it, it's
Right.
like, I don't know what will, but we need to do something as a nation.
Yeah, and you
That's
look
it.
at the kids in Parkland, Florida, after what happened with them, and they said, this is not going to happen again. And when people criticize the movement that Chris Murphy has had with really trying to get common sense, sensible gun reform, and they criticize it, he says, well, why don't you come to Connecticut and talk to us about that?
That's
Right.
And they won't. And they won't. So, all right. So that was intense. So we'll move it right along. April 15th, on my birthday, no less, the world stood horrified and stood still at the pictures coming in from news media all over the world showing us the cathedral at Notre Dame in Paris on fire, engulfed. This 850-year-old structure was literally in flames. And it was incredible. Now, I'm not a religious person, and I'm not really too fond of religious spaces, but when you think about the architectural gem that this building is, and seeing it in flames, again, this is like almost 850 plus years old. That's almost a whole 1,000 years. I mean, in another, 202?
150, but math is
150
hard.
Yeah.
It literally would be a 1,000-year-old
Those
structure.
bars.
And it is absolutely stunningly beautiful. I mean, it's very Gothic-oriented, a structure that was built. I was just like, whoa. And then you're watching all of this and seeing the what do you call the spire?
The spire.
Fire.
Just collapse into it, and I was just like, holy shit. And just in the nick of time, they were able to actually go in there and put the fire out and save the structure, the skeletal structure of the actual building.
And they were able to save artwork.
That was
were,
pulled
right.
out, which would allow for the structure to actually get remodeled and rebuilt. And so that's, I think, an effort that's happening as we speak. But that was quite shocking to see. And that happened in 2019.
And it's one of those things where the world does stand still for a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, when you look at a tragedy such as 9/11, so many countless lives were lost. But that's one of those things where everything kind of just stops for a minute.
Yeah.
And everyone watches together, and it's like that sense of humankind. And that's exactly how it was, religious or not. Notre Dame, it's an icon. It's an icon
It is.
on our planet, and people of all faiths were standing together in solidarity, just hoping to get these flames under control and to save this structure, which fortunately was able to be done.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It was crazy.
I think it creates a sense of it makes us aware of the lack of permanency
Yes,
of
absolutely.
us in this world, and I think that's what people reacted to.
Mm-hmm.
The non-religious people who reacted so negatively to it. It's what we respond to. That this is what we are. There's no permanency for us.
Absolutely.
It was an incredible thing to see and watch, happen right before our eyes. All right, so the next one was actually I celebrated this when it happened on June 13th. White House press secretary Sarah can't fuckably stand.
Yes, I
hers.
was hoping you were gonna get it. Sarah can't fuckably stand
That's
hers.
right. She hugs the president and bids farewell in her surprise announcement that she would be leaving the White House, and we all rejoiced. It was
Bye,
an amazing
Cookie
thing
Monster.
because I was sick and tired of her spinning lies. Like I have to tell you, I couldn't stand her. I couldn't stand the lies that were coming out of the White House.
Couldn't
I still
fucking stand
can't
her.
stand the lies that are coming out of the White House. But that woman was a genius
Oh,
in
yeah,
spinning that shit.
She was talented.
She had a talent for
She was
spinning
very
lies.
good.
I was like, holy shit, yo, this woman, she can bullshit her way through anything.
And talk about resting bitch face of
Oh.
the year. Of the year.
Oh, Lord, I think that was resting bitch face of the decade.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah,
I
mean,
think she deserves the decade resting bitch face award.
isn't it funny how much you miss spicy? Like, you know, like, like at first you're like, who is this angry man ever? And it just,
Oh,
yeah, and
yeah,
then
She
it's-
wasn't
Sarah-
that worse.
oh,
It was her delivery too. Like no
Yeah.
remorse, no.
Nope.
This is what it is. I have my script, and I'm gonna stick to it. And fuck the world.
Oh.
F the world.
we're working on it.
F-
We're
And
working on it.
anytime they asked her a question about, something legal, I'm going to have to refer you to White House counsel.
Yeah.
I'm going to refer you to White House counsel. She had that line down to a science. But we rejoiced. It's like no more her. And now we have Mick Mulvaney, who like literally just said, like goes out and just implicates the president and his entire cabinet and says, yes, there was a pro quo. Get over it. It
Oh, no, he said,
happens."
yeah, exactly. Get
I was
over
like, are you fucking serious? It's like,
But you know what I liked about it? The fact that he's like, what else do you want the man to do that doesn't stick? This is what you're gonna get him. Come on, just fucking get over it.
and that's what they got him for. And and it's funny because he said it like, it happens all the time. Politicians do this all the time. World leaders do this all the time. It's just the way of the world. Get over it. No. We in the US don't do this kind of backhand shit. And this is why this president got impeached. It was just incredible. I was just like, wow. But but
Such a
back to
shit
Sarah.
show.
Like, hip hip hooray. You're gone. Poof, be gone.
Girl, bye.
Thank you. But yeah, that was fun. So Chris, why don't we give you this one?
All right, yeah, I'll move on to this one. I like this story. September 23rd here at the United Nations in New York City, Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg. I actually want to read her name because her full name is Greta Tintin Eleonora Ernman Thunberg. I just had to bring that one
I'm
out.
proud of you.
Yeah, right, not bad. So she was watching the U.S. President Donald Trump as he entered the General Assembly at the United Nations to speak with reporters. Thunberg, 16, quote, didn't mince words as she spoke to world leaders during the UN Climate Account Summit. She accused them of not doing enough to mitigate climate change, saying, quote, for more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away? And this girl has started a whole new movement.
That's right.
If you walk around New Haven, if you walk around Yale, if you walk around Gateway, if you walk around Southern,
Connecticut State.
yes, exactly. And then if you go to multiple universities throughout the country, you are seeing these calls for class walkouts to really stand up and protest climate change. This is a 16-year-old girl who took like a dinghy to freaking get here. Like, she would not let any ocean get in her way. And she said it's bullshit and it's about time, and it's long beyond time that we stand up and start to make a difference. And she called all those leaders out for failing to do such.
But the look.
The
There was
look
a
that
picture.
she gave
There
Trump.
was a look that she gave Trump as he was walking in, and you can tell the anger was there. Like, how fucking dare you?
Mhm.
She was just like, "Urgh." And then, to make matters even more interesting, she went on to win Time's Person of the Year,
Yep.
which Donald Trump has wanted so bad
Mhm.
and couldn't get, and he literally went on Twitter and attacked her for it.
Absolutely.
And put something on there to the sense of, someone your age should be hanging around with friends and watching movies, right? And she went and grabbed that shit and put it on her Twitter
Yep.
and literally
Yep.
trolled the president.
Put this into perspective. Donald Trump trolled a 16-year-old on Twitter who's probably very similar to the age of his youngest child.
Mhm.
This man has a child, and he's trolling someone.
He
That's
has only one child though.
Barron.
No, it's Ivanka is the only child.
Oh, wait, then who's- Oh, wait, is Barron not his real kid?
Oh, we don't know. No, listen, I don't want to
He
start
doesn't
rumors.
acknowledge any of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point. But yeah, this man
Only
goes
his
on.
dad.
It's because this is like I love when people. It really makes me laugh when people say we needed Trump because he's so strong.
Ugh.
This man is so weak. He has to berate
A
a 16-year-old.
16-year-old.
He
Literally.
is threatened by a teenager.
Yeah.
And then all of his puppets are coming after like her mental health because they're trying to take away credibility because climate change is not a thing and this is a crazy person who's
It's
only
ridiculous.
16. It's just disgusting to watch.
Yeah, I was just like, wow.
I mean,
Wow.
this man has been reported over 9,000 lies this entire past year. There's nothing. His credibility is garbage. If he says you're garbage, you're probably pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying. All right.
So I think he mentioned somewhere that GayTalk 2.0 was just like horrible.
Yeah.
So we're great.
Mm.
Thank you. And
Wait, is this a thing?
no, I'm kidding.
Oh my
No,
God.
But when
that
it
was-
comes to our audience size,
Yeah.
Yes.
every week it's huge. Huge.
Huge.
We have the
It's the
largest.
hugest.
The
You can
hugest.
ask my
Yes,
friend.
exactly.
You can
exactly.
you can ask my friends. They'll tell you it's the hugest one.
And not only that, and so when we have guests like Elci who comes join us, it gets even huger. And then, then we have big titties.
Biglies.
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 Our biglies.
Their breasts
Breastises.
tomorrow.
Breastises.
Oh, Lord have mercy. That's insane. So,
I love how every time you do that, I think
She just
like-
goes and grabs
I
them.
Make
Like-
sure they're there.
let me
right, we're good.
let me rack them up. She's amazing. I love her. That's why we love you, and that's why you keep
Exactly.
coming back.
The money, tickets, passport.
So Mercedes
go.
and Lexus. Remember those names.
Yes, stripper names.
All right, so listen, sticking to the theme of climate change and protest, as a result of all the work that this amazing young 16-year-old has done, there has been a lot of actors and actresses that have gone out and to the steps of the U.S. Capitol and protested. And so on October 25th, for the third consecutive week, actress Jane Fonda was taken away in zippy handcuffs during a climate crisis protest at the U.S.
He
Capitol.
said zippy.
Zippy.
Okay, thank you. It's zip tie.
No, but that's what it says. Zippy.
Zip
Oh, well,
tie.
zip tie handcuffs. Anyway.
You're the worst,
Zippy.
Chris. Really?
And what I love about it is there's one picture of her that is actually where she's got the
yeah.
zip ties up and she's got her middle finger out. I fucking love that woman.
I do too.
She has definitely been controversial over the years. I mean, I remember she had went to Vietnam at one point in time and
Yep.
shared time with the troops from Vietnam at that point that were fighting against the U.S. And she got a lot of backlash for that shit. But this woman has always had balls. There's no silencing her. And the beautiful thing is that some of her co-stars on Grace and Frankie actually came out. The older guy that plays Frankie's ex-husband, and I can't remember his name. He's such a good actor. He's
I
really
love
good.
him.
And but he was out there with her, and he also got arrested. I mean, to name a few, there's so many, and they just keep going back. She's been arrested now 3 times, and she doesn't give a shit. And I'm like, you go, girl.
Well, I love the quote that she was said on the U.S. Capitol.
From Greta.
No, was this one from
Yeah.
Greta? Oh, Greta's that one? No, it's Fonda who said we have.
She
to...
said it, but it's Greta's quote.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read it again. Quote: "We have to behave like our house is on fire because it is."
Yeah.
And with that, I have a perfect segue
Go for it.
because you said that Jane Fonda has balls, but you know what? Donald Trump has balls. Balls are sensitive. You just give a little flick to the balls, and that
And they
brings a
drop.
man down.
Yeah.
Exactly. Jane Fonda, like the famous Betty White said, she's got a vagina. Like, you don't say grow some balls, you say grow a vagina.
I will never understand that.
Because
How-
a vagina
yes,
can take
it.
a vagina
A
can take a
pounding.
beating, a pounding.
Yes.
Exactly.
I
Those
say
things
this
are
all the
resilient.
time.
Those
I say
things-
this all the time.
That's so
They-
true.
they
You
get a
should be
little
called a
stretchy.
dick, not a pussy.
Exactly.
Because pussies can take it.
I mean, like, I came out of one, and like
And your
yeah.
the whole you.
the whole
the
thing,
Whole you.
the whole thing.
Yes.
That's
Not
like
in this size, but in some
I
variation.
was still bigger than a basketball. I was
Right.
like at least like a bouquet of flowers height. Like
God, I'm sorry for you.
Oh my God,
I
I'm
don't
so
know.
glad that you said that. I say this all. I have this
Right?
conversation all the time with Corey.
I
I'm
always
like,
think about it.
Really, you're weak.
Exactly. So with that, we need to pay homage, but she's not dead because the one and the only Betty White outlives sliced bread for yet another year. So yay, Betty!
All right, Betty.
She was literally born the year before sliced bread was invented.
In 2019, she's a year older than sliced bread. And she's outlived everyone. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, when we think about some of these lists that come up online of people who have passed away, it's like, you immediately just like ride through it just to see if Betty White's on it. Obviously, you know she's not, but it's incredible. That woman is amazing. At her age, she's still acting, she's still working. She does an amazing job, and God, are we blessed to have her in our
She's going to
lives.
outlive both Twinkies and cockroaches.
I think
Yup,
so.
I believe that firmly.
I think two things will last. You know, if we ever have nuclear proliferation. Is that?
We have that already. but
So if we ever have like a nuclear showdown and where things just go south and people die, there's going to be
The
two things that
apocalypse.
exist. Actually, three: cockroaches, Cher, and Betty White.
Oh, Cher.
that's right.
I feel like she'd melt.
No,
I
no,
don't know.
she'll be here. She'll be here. And
I don't know. Trish with all that Bondo, she might be up on the list.
Yeah,
She might be
Sorry.
up on the list.
Tom and Chris will be gone. Elci will probably be floating somewhere with her boobies.
I know.
Titty first. Titty first.
She'll survive. They're high impact.
They
Uh,
are, they
they're
are.
resistant.
They've gotten me out of a lot of situations. Yes.
Nice.
All right, Elci, why don't you take this last one and tell us what it is?
So the U.S. Women's soccer team won their second consecutive World Cup
That's
this
right.
year as well.
That's right.
Remember the little teacup
Mm-hmm.
controversy?
Oh, my God.
You've been served.
Mhm.
okay?
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Now-
had she been a dude, everybody would have celebrated that.
Mhm.
Of course,
Yep.
but because she was a woman,
Absolutely.
you know, it was an issue. And not only that, you know, she's an out lesbian woman.
I know.
And it's amazing. There are actually a couple of players on the team that are out, and it's amazing. But Rapinoe is her last name, right?
Yeah, Megan Rapinoe.
And she went on the stairs of the City Hall in New York City after they had won, and they celebrated this huge win. And she just threw it out there and
Oh, yeah,
just
she
told
did.
Trump, "We're coming for you."
Mm-hmm.
She was not holding back. I was like,
know.
"You better work."
And
girl."
not only did they bring the title of the Women's World Cup home for the second year, or the second time in now 8 years, but it's also important to talk about the strive that they were working with for equal pay,
Mhm.
for the
Yeah.
pay gap, for doing the same amount of work, and they're making significantly less than the men's national team.
Yeah.
And this is something that's going to keep going. They got the ball rolling, and
Yeah.
those women got snatches because they ain't
Mhm.
sensitive. They ain't sensitive, and they're ready to keep up this fight. And it really brought it to light. I mean, when you look at UEFA and you look at FIFA, these are such
Biggest
companies.
mafia in the world.
Absolutely, they're corrupt.
Disgusting.
They are absolutely, and she's taking them on by their sensitive ass little balls.
Proud of you, girl.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a huge win for the U.S. women's national team, but it's going to be an even bigger win to abolishing the pay gap that
Yes.
is still existent here in the United States and across the world.
Yeah. And one thing that also deserves mentioning is that for the first time in American history, fast food was served at a celebration for one of our teams in the White House.
Oh my God! When I saw that, and it was
I was
not.
like, what
Not
the
only
fuck?
was it like fucking Big Macs and filet of fish, they put them on silver fucking platters.
Yeah, it was-
like just give me the brown bag if you're gonna do this shit, Mr.
Like,
President.
seriously. I
Oh.
was like, what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong
I
with you?
serve better food at my house.
Ah,
I'm never gonna
It
get
would've made
over
s-
that. How that was an insult, and it was premeditated.
Of
You weren't
course it-
trying to be cute.
Of course it was. And you know what? I would have probably been like, okay, this makes sense if they chose Chick-fil-A, but McDonald's, really, you lent yourself to that shit?
Not Chick-fil-A. Remember
No,
them?
listen, I don't. Listen, a bigoted president for bigoted companies.
This is true.
I would have been okay with the fact
It
that
would've
it
made
would have made
sense.
sense
It
if it
would
was
have made
Chick-fil-A.
sense.
But McDonald's, a worldwide company, allowed themselves to receive that type of publicity with offering. I mean, obviously, you can't tell the president that he can't buy at McDonald's, but like, really? Like, McDonald's should have been all over that shit. Like, get that shit, get all our labels and all of our shit off of that.
Or what's the like down south country restaurant? We have them all over here, but it's like like southern fried shit. Country. Oh, fuck, what's it called? You get your chicken fried steak and your pickled okra. And
I love your accent right now.
I don't know what you're talking about,
I'm-
but I'm sure
Cracker
it's a-
Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. He could have had that shit. He like lives in Florida
Oh,
most
God.
of the time, right?
Their biscuits and gravy are horrible.
Yeah, they also hate gays, so
Yeah,
don't eat
so-
at Cracker Barrel.
So, and yeah, and Chick-fil-A, fuck you. Because they did say that they were going to like stop giving money to anti-LGBTQ organizations, and they're still donating money to those fucking assholes.
Yeah, because the CEO can do it on his own behalf,
yeah, so,
not on
Right.
behalf of Chick-fil-A,
Right.
but the
So-
CEO, the CFO, or the founder.
yeah, it's just ridiculous. So anyway, so that was our list of top stories that happened in 2019 that we wanted to sort of kind of bring back and shed light on our show. And now we're going to move to a little segment. It's a little, but it needs to happen. We did it last year, and I think it's always good to acknowledge people that we've lost throughout the year. And so we're going to kick off our list, and I want Chris to take this one because Chris, you were really fond of our friend, and I think that you should pay him homage.
Yeah,
And I loved him too, and
We all
And
did.
Trish was married to him, so
absolutely. I
So-
will never forget the day that
that
this man bestowed upon him his large skull and crossbone, if it will, chain necklace.
That's right.
We'll never forget that first time we went down there, tailgated outside of Wildfire Radio.
Studios, yeah,
They rolled up and we were muddling peaches and shit and got
Mhm.
bottles of
with
bourbon.
bourbon.
Yeah, this was no Natty Ice kind of fucking tailgating. We were like ready to go.
Hardcore.
Absolutely. Though, what town? We'd say we were in New Jersey.
We're just gonna say it was Camden.
Yeah,
It's
Camden.
dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. They said don't stop at the red lights. All right, so we do want to pay homage to Schmo the intern.
That's right.
He-
Larry Herrera. He was our good friend, our fellow podcaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And the most important part was a good friend of ours. He was a fellow co-host at the Idiots Radio, and this man would just constantly be reaching out to us, sending us messages, calling us just every now and then, just sending a message. Hey, haven't heard from you. Hope you're doing okay today. Hope you're having a nice day. Didn't have to ever ask for you to write a book back. Just wanted to make sure you're doing all right. And
And it was a beautiful thing to see. And one important thing that I think that we should remember and acknowledge is the fact that prior to meeting us here on Gay Talk 2.0, he had never been associated or been around people in the LGBT community. We were sort of kind of like the people that broke his cherry. And shortly after, he not only engaged with us, he thrusted himself into learning everything about our community. He started doing shows with Jess Brannis, who is another podcaster that does amazing work in the, I believe it's Philadelphia area.
the Philly area.
Philly area and Jersey. And
well,
so he-
Philly's not in Jersey, but
Camden, like right over the bridge. Camden, Jersey, they're right next to each other. That's what I meant. You know what I meant.
It's
And
Jersey, okay?
yeah, pretty much.
Come on.
And so he started doing a lot of stuff, and he really got involved with us. And like you said, he was always reaching out to us, and what an amazing person. And I feel so sad for his wife, who is completely, and still to this day is completely devastated by his loss. He died a very young man. He was in his mid-40s, and he left behind 3 children, I believe, and all the holes in his backyard where he
his
used to go and
squatty
take a
potty,
shit.
his au natural squatty potty.
That's right.
That and also never forget, I still have the shirt. I wear it pretty often. His wife got into like an embroidery engraving kind of business and
That's
was
right.
making. We had the hot seat.
Yeah,
For
it's upstairs.
The
I have
hot
it.
seat for the Idiots Radio. But then they made us shirts, glow in the dark shirts. They had GayTalk,
And
our
our
logo,
names.
and our names, and then they had the Idiots Radio on there. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was really.
It's amazing.
He will be missed.
I'm gonna miss that little fucker. He was hilarious.
He was
and,
hilarious.
and that's why they called him Schmo the intern, right? It's just he was amazing. And his finger, I guess maybe his finger will now have an opportunity to carry the rest of the body.
And perhaps carry a license.
That's right. So our homage to our Sir Schmo the intern. Thank you for the laughs and for all the amazing memories that you have provided us here on the show.
I feel kind of
personally.
sad that I didn't get to meet him.
He was
Yeah,
he was
a
incredible.
riot.
Yeah, he was.
He was such a riot.
I'll actually look up some of our episodes that we had with him on the show and our radio interactions when we went down to the Idiots Radio, so you can listen to
The
them. And he was-
first I will the first time I ever heard his voice was when they actually came onto our show. They called in, and I'll just never forget. He's one of I forget if it was Andy or whoever was introducing, and he cuts through and he's like, "So let me ask you something. You guys fuck all the time, right? You go to the mailbox, you fuck. You go to the store, you fuck." Like I was like, "No, schmo, but thank you." But I'll just never forget that. You
Yeah.
guys, you fuck.
He was incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so Elsie, why don't you read our next person who we lost in 2019?
Elijah Cummings,
Mhm.
head of the Judiciary Committee and member of the U.S. House of Representatives.
That's right, and he had served in Congress for a very long time, and we lost him not too long ago. Actually, about not even 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago.
A little bit longer than that, but it
longer?
was one of the more recent deaths.
Yeah, and he actually was one of the few representatives from Congress that was actually allowed to lay in state in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, like they would honor a president. I mean, he was a public servant through and through, and he did a lot of amazing work. And we're super sad that he's no longer with us. He did amazing stuff, not only for the House, but also for the community of people of color. He was just such an
He
icon.
was a big
Right,
advocate,
and I
yes.
believe that he served Baltimore.
That's right.
Yeah, and he did a lot for the community of Baltimore.
And now his wife is going to run as a
Right.
representative for that district to represent the district and hopefully make it into the House of Representatives. So, that legacy continues with her.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. All right. We have actor Luke Perry. We lost him. The actor was best known for his role as Dylan in Beverly Hills 90210, the original Beverly Hills, the one that came out in the 90s. He was quite an awesome dude. He was a rat. He always reminded me of like James Dean
Yep.
in a lot of the pictures that he always used to take and stuff. And
The behavior.
yeah, and all of that. It's just drugs, you name it. He was pretty badass. So yeah. So Elsie, number 4 is yours.
Chewy died.
That's right.
He was Chelsea Handler's sidekick.
That's right.
Little Chewy.
What's his name? Oh God, he has a night show on ABC, I believe it is. Jimmy Kimmel.
Mhm.
He has a sidekick
He has
too.
a sidekick.
Isn't
and
his
I think,
sidekick name is Chewy?
I'm not sure if that's his name, but I don't know actually.
Oh, I know who you're
Or
talking
is it
about.
What's his
Jesus.
name? Is it Jesus?
I think he is Hispanic. I think
I
he
know
is.
he
He
yeah.
is Hispanic.
Yeah,
He
no.
is-
I see. I'm not thinking it's like an Esteban or something like that. I know who you're talking about.
Let's
He's
find out.
hilarious, actually. He is very funny. That is Jimmy Kimmel's guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Guillermo Rodriguez.
But I think he says Guillermo, yeah.
Yeah, Guillermo. So yeah, and, it's
Guillermo.
amazing to see that these characters and these people, make such an impact on pop culture, and but yeah, Chewy Bravo, may he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
Gave us a lot of laughs, a lot of people. It's always good. So Christopher, why don't you take the next one?
Yeah, Danny Aiello passed away. He was an actor in Godfather. I believe it was the third Godfather that he was in. But he's known for many, many, many films. He had been an actor for many years and definitely an American icon.
Amazing. And all right, so this one is Marie Fredrickson. She is the writer, or was she the singer of the song "It Must Have Been Love"? Did we ever find out?
No, I think it wasn't it "Listen to Your Heart" that we couldn't
Listen to Your
listen to your heart because it was like Roxette,
Right.
the Swedish duo.
Right, right.
But Marie Fredrickson, she's also Swedish, so I believe that she was a lyricist. But it must have
She
been
was
love.
a lyricist.
Yeah.
yes.
It must have been
Award
love,
winning.
but it's over
Absolutely award-winning.
now. Oh.
Must have been good, and I don't know the rest.
Oh,
All
and I
right.
got this one.
Go for it.
Aw.
Chewie.
Yeah.
Chewbacca, the person who played Chewbacca for many decades, right? So you have the first original trilogy, the prequels, and now the sequels. Well, I think the first one, The Force Awakens, were actually all played by Peter Mayhew. He was the actor behind or inside of Chewie and the mask and the hair and all
Yeah,
that
he
stuff.
was inside Chewie.
And he was all in there. And he was sidekick to Han Solo and all that good stuff. And we lost him in 2019. I don't think he was able to actually play the character in The Last Jedi and then The Rise of Skywalker. They had a newer actor who was shown in an interview actually with Peter Mayhew. Both of them sort of kind of trying to take the reins of Chewbacca. And we'll see if maybe this is a character that may return because he was never killed. Oops, did I spoil that for someone?
Why would you? Why?
Sorry.
This is why you were blocked during Game of Thrones.
Listen.
On my Facebook. He
There's
was.
a-
Oh,
there's
'cause he's nasty.
I'm not-
Especially if you say like, please don't give me a spoiler alert,
He
he will go
does it.
out of his way.
Out of his way. So
He
I
will
used
like
to,
pull the plug from the company he works at, so they're out of power, so he can go home and do it.
episode, I would be so mindful of my Facebook so I could delete whatever he wrote on my
Mhm.
fucking
Yeah, she
wall.
nasty.
So I had posted a meme when
Ugh, the worst.
it wasn't a meme, it was a GIF or GIF, is that what it's called? Anyway,
GIF.
it was a GIF that I posted on my Facebook page for Endgame. I didn't know. And
You didn't know?
no,
You
I didn't know. First of all, I have never watched any of the MCU movies ever. So I didn't know that what I was posting, which was a picture of a woman that looked like Wonder Woman, when you clicked on the GIF, that it showed that the moment in where Iron Man snapped his fingers and Thanos would just evaporate into dust.
Just in case any of you missed that, he's now spoiled it for you too.
The
Go
movie
on.
came out a year and a half ago. They should have watched it by now. So, but I didn't know. Oh my God, I thought I was gonna get murdered on Facebook. But you know what? I was okay with it. It's only a fucking
You
movie.
are
Get over
okay
it.
with it. You
Yeah.
are okay with it.
I
It
am
doesn't
okay with
piss
it.
me off.
All right. Anyway, let's move it along. So, what is the next one? Elsie, since you're very chatty catty, take this one.
The original puppeteer for Big Bird.
Sad face.
Yeah, died. Carol's. I'm going to mispronounce this name. It's either Spiny or Speeny.
Probably- I think
I
it's
have an
spiny.
accent, so I think I can get away
I
with
think
it.
it's spiny.
Carol Spiny.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, and he was also Oscar the Grouch. You said, right?
He was Oscar the Grouch as well, and he died this year too.
Wow. And we're losing a lot of iconic people that sometimes, it's people behind masks that give us such memorable characters that we forget that, there are actually people in there. And so it's always good to recognize those people that have given millions of children all over the U.S. Just great memories watching, Sesame Street on PBS. So, Christopher, number 9.
Definitely at the age of 75, cannot forget the iconic journalist Cokie Roberts, who
That's right.
departed this year. Very sad. Her work was incredible.
It was. She was very detailed, very amazing. When she would come on TV, you would notice. And she went everywhere. I mean, she was in a lot of different networks, had a lot of different positions.
ABC, don't forget NPR.
That's
like,
right. She was on NPR for
Yeah.
a long time. And no matter where she went, that integrity followed her, and people knew who she was. When she walked into a room, you knew who Cokie Roberts was. So, yeah. And then I'll mention this one. So, the actor, best known for his character he played in the movie Friday along Ice-T and among other actors, John Witherspoon passed away this year as well. And he was a funny comedian. He's known for his comedy, and he will be missed. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Christopher?
And this one just happened a couple days ago.
That's right.
We had we love Broadway. It's dear to our heart. I love composers. Jerry Herman, composer of shows such as Hello Dolly and Mame, unfortunately passed away. I believe it was about 3 days ago, maybe 4 days ago.
Yep.
Will always be an icon for the Broadway community, and will surely be missed.
All right. And Elsie, number 12?
We lost Toni Morrison this year too,
Yeah.
which was a big loss to the literary world. She was amazing. When we look at what feminism is,
Absolutely.
she
Yep.
did not get enough credit as to how vocal she was about it. Her writing, it was all about strength with women.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a Nobel Prize recipient too, and of course, she did a lot to expose the struggles of the Black community and Black women, and it was a huge loss.
Yeah, but you know what? In spite of the fact that we've lost Mrs. Morrison, her work is left behind. We have her
Yes,
work
and we're
as her
lucky for that.
legacy, and we're lucky for that.
And some people, unfortunately, that they're not able to see it, but sometimes their legacy is much more impactful after they had passed away.
Right.
So
That's usually the case.
it really is. So she might not have received the credit that she deserved for the feminist front, but her legacy will forever move on, and her literature will also never die.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
see, this is why, when you want to say something, do something, write it down and publish it, because long after we're gone, those works and those publishings will stay with us.
Yeah.
Unless the whole world burns down, but
Well,
Which could
soon enough.
happen.
Take it easy.
Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
yeah.
Ask
We'll get
Greta
there.
about that.
We'll
Ask
get there.
Greta.
So, but yeah, they stick around. I mean, look at the works by people like Socrates and all these like
I love quoting that bastard. That
ancient
principled
writers.
bastard.
It's how old is the literary work from this man? I mean, it's got to be thousands, right? No, thousands.
We're talking about Plato's time. Really, you're gonna put me in
Math,
the spotlight?
I don't know. It's a very long time, but it's still here. It's still with us. It still exists within humanity, and we still quote it. We still talk about it. So
That's how I win every argument.
Yeah.
I just quote Socrates.
Right?
I'm like, well, if we're talking about breaking the law, Socrates says if you're gonna live in that society, you have to abide by those laws.
There it is.
Period.
There it is.
And finally, just to wrap up our list, we lost Gloria Vanderbilt. She, of course, is a well-known New York City socialite. Not only for that, but she also carried the Vanderbilt name,
Right.
which, if you know anything about the Vanderbilts, they were very influential in shaping most of what we see as iconic structures in the city of New York, along with other mansions in places like what's Rhode Island. Oh God.
Yep.
Newport.
In Newport,
Newport.
Rhode Island, there was a couple of beautiful, amazing mansions that were built there by this family, and of course, the last, her only surviving son, her only child that she ever had, who we see on CNN every day. This man is absolutely gorgeous.
Love him.
It's when he did a tribute special to her. It was incredible, the strength that this man had to actually work up to be able to talk about his mother and complete this work in such a short period of time, because he knew that he needed to do this.
And he loved his mother.
Oh, of course he did. And we're talking about none other than Anderson Cooper. He hosts 360 on CNN. And
Silver Fox.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh, he's-
absolutely. But
he's-
one of the things I love about seeing Anderson Cooper and his mother was he got his little giggle chuckle from her. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it is the cutest thing. They're literally chuckling together in one of the videos when he's doing his memorial for her, and I urge everyone to look it up because it is the most adorable little kid chuckle at this man. I don't know how old he is, but it's like the cutest thing. Absolutely.
He's the right age.
I
At
think
any
so.
age.
yeah, it doesn't matter. He's just amazingly
Yes,
beautiful.
agreed.
I mean,
Um,
he's a very respected journalist.
That's
I'm
right.
not,
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
not,
no, of course,
I'm not
right.
objectifying
And
him.
I am. Shit. No, I will tell you this. One thing that Gloria did to her son is she literally looked at him and said, "You will not inherit anything from me. You need to be a self-made man, and you need to go out in the world and do you and become your own person." And that is literally what he did. That man went into the trenches. He's been into war zones. He's been into, the jungles of Africa. He was never afraid to take up any assignment. He would always go wherever he needed to be. And when she died, I believe I read somewhere that most of her fortunes are being donated to the arts and other institutions. And I don't think that he's going to get anything from her.
I don't think he needs it.
No, he doesn't.
Mm-mm.
But it just goes to show you the kind of person that she was. I mean, her upbringing was very, very rocky, very tumultuous. She was pulled from her parents, brought here by one of her aunts, and forced to live here in New York City when she didn't want to. So there's so much backstory to this woman, and I think that her aunt actually took control of her custody because they knew that she was the heir apparent to all this fortune that the Vanderbilts have built in the 1800s and early 1900s. So, yeah, it's incredible life that woman had. She was also very gorgeous and beautiful. So, all right. So I think that wraps up the people that we've people in pop culture that we lost, but we wanted to take a moment.
And we lost many more, but
Of course, I mean, but we wouldn't have enough time.
right. And the list was in no order of importance.
That's right.
Right.
And so, but I will say this special tribute definitely has something to do with people in our community. And that is, of course, all the transgender sisters that we lost in 2019. To date, there has been 26 reported deaths of transgender women across the U.S. Obviously, we know those numbers are not correct because when it comes to the reporting of transgender deaths in America, a lot of coroner offices or even family members choose not to honor their loved ones that they lost by going by the name that they wanted to be go by. They are reported as male often if they are male to female, and so they
Vice
are
versa.
identified by their dead names, and you know, so we really don't know how impactful this really is, but we do know that we had 26 confirmed deaths. And so to those brothers and or those sisters that we lost in our transgender community, may you always rest in peace and know that
We're gonna keep fighting the fight.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You will not be forgotten. And that is important that we throw that out there. So this has been an incredible conversation, a very long show. So we are going to, of course, wrap things up and bring it home for 2019. And so I'll kick it off. If you love our show, and I'm sure that you're happy that we're back after 2 weeks, make sure that you go subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting service. By subscribing, you get the latest and greatest of our show delivered right to your favorite device or web browser as soon as our episodes are published. You can also support us on Patreon, which allows you, our subscribers, to help the show with a monetary donation. We collect those every month, and they can be in any denomination of $1 or more. Chris?
So next week, I believe we're going to be expecting the lovely doctor to be joining us.
That's right, Dr. G.
Dr. G will be joining for Tales from the Tail, from top to bottom.
Tales from the Tail.
Tales from the Tail. That's what I
Yep.
thought. Okay, so
So-
yes, he'll be joining for the first installment of Tales from the Tail for 2020.
I am
That's right.
dying to see what's in this box.
Okay, yes.
So,
let's get in front of the camera.
So I wanted to say thank you to Dr. G and his team, of course, for sending us these amazing boxes, which are filled with one of the products that they will soon to be launching in 2019.
That's right.
And what it
Well,
is,
2020.
May I see this, please?
Yeah, the future method.
So the future method is an actual butthole cleansing kit. I cannot grab it.
Oh my God.
Thank you. And it's got a lot of cool stuff in it. So anyway, so these kits are designed, as he explained before in a previous episode of ours, to be disposable, right? So you don't want to use things when you're cleaning areas that are naturally dirty. Continue to be reusing these things that could get bacteria, etc. And so these kits are designed for you to have it comes with 3 little liquid pouches. This is the solution. It's called disposable anal douche solution. And you basically put this into this little thingy-majiggy and go up there, do what you got to do, clean it out. And then you'll have a nice clean butt for you to go in and be the bottom that you can be.
But it's
amazing.
imperative to follow the instructions
That's
because we had him on multiple times talking about when people are overusing enemas, whether they be fleet, whether they just be your homemade saline solutions, or if you're just using water, and you can actually be causing more irritation.
That's
you
right.
can be irritating more hemorrhoids. You can actually be giving yourself the reverse effect when you're really trying to clean the lower area, but by either holding the enema for too long, the fluid for too long, or pushing it for too hard, it's going to get further into you. And instead of thinking you're just going to have one quick clean out, you're now going to have, a couple, recurring moments where you're going to be hanging out on the toilet and not
Which
taking the
defeats
cock.
purpose.
And it's
Right.
great that you brought that up. So one of the most important things about this product is the fact that it's pH balanced.
Absolutely.
So
yep.
you could have one of two things. You could either have water or a substance that's either too acidic or too
Base.
or too alkaline. And so either or can cause harm and get rid of natural bacteria that you need.
Yeah, it disrupts the flora.
Exactly that,
so
and you need the mucuses that are in the.
Right.
for
so many
things that the
questions.
function, that the body needs.
You'll have to tune in
function.
next week then.
That's right. Or join us, and then you
I
can
might
ask.
have to show
Yeah,
up.
right. Exactly.
And so yeah, these are amazing. They're not available as of yet, right? They're still in trying to figure out the logistics of packaging, etc., and how they're going to get them out to the masses. But it's something that we appreciate. Thank you for sending them. We're going to be trying them, and I'll let you know how.
I want to correct something. Not out to the masses, out to the
Asses.
asses.
That's right.
Thank you. Hashtag
So.
dad jokes.
So I think I'm just gonna have a really fun time bottoming over the course of the new year and figure out
Delightful.
how to best utilize this amazing product by our great doctor and his team.
Absolutely.
All right,
Sure,
I'll take it.
go for it.
We want to say thank you to our guest, Elci, so
I love
much.
being here.
And I love when Nick's not here because then you're here. Just kidding, Trish. We love you. No
We
one
do
can
love
fill
you.
your shoes, but she does a good job keeping your soap box warm when you are not here. So thank you so much. As always, you're a recurring guest here. You are always welcome.
And I wanted to further not only by saying thank you for joining us, but I wanted to wish everyone out there a very, very happy and safe new year. We're going to jump into 2020 balls and vaginas.
Vaginas
That's right.
out, and
We said it before.
we
have.
talked about it.
That's right. We got hard-ons and wide-ons. We
That's
don't
right.
discriminate here.
exactly. See,
Yes.
we got
Yes.
this. And so we're super excited. We're excited to see where it takes us, what's going to happen, and bring you all the news as we always do in the dish and everything else. And Elci really got a kick out of that
I
one.
know, right? Exactly.
I love when I learn new terms here.
Always remember cursive meetings, wide-ons.
Yes.
Boom.
So, Elci, before we wrap it up, is there anything you would like to say or share?
Not particularly, other than the fact that I love being here. And when you guys mention my name when you write to the show, it just makes my day.
Okay. So that
no,
means
no pressure.
So that means go on your favorite device, rate, review, and write a review, and then just you can praise Elci all she wants. She gets
Absolutely.
Off on that. So, all right, Chris.
Wow, I thought this was going to be a short one tonight, but it's not. So, can we please put one more rubber on this show? The last rubber of 2019.
That's right.
I think we have one left. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, as always, our show is available on our website, GayTalk20.com, under show and episodes. It is also available as a free download on iTunes, Google Play Music, and Stitcher Radio. Chris announces?
Yes.
All right, Chris announces. You can find us on social media, Facebook, GayTalk 2.0, Instagram, GayTalk 2.0. You can go on Twitter at GayTalk20, or you can send us an email, gaytalk2.0@gmail.com. Tom, take it away.
And if you need to reach out to us, you can just head on over to our website, click on the Contact Us tab located at the top of your web browser. There you can leave comments, you can suggest topics, you can send messages to our guest, Elci.
Yes.
Or submit a question for an individual host like Chris gets all the time.
I don't
Used
get
to,
them
at least.
anymore.
You can also call us, and we can answer questions for you on the show, live on air. The number for that is 334-GAY-TALK. And if you need those digits, it is 334-429-8255. Don't forget that we do stream live every Monday at 6:30-ish, 6 p.m. It depends. Eastern Standard Time, and you can access that live stream by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. Ladies and gents, once again, Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us all year and sticking around with all the craziness. We love you. Y'all have a...
Of course, Trish.
What do you want to say?
I just want to say, because you're talking about the new year, remember all, just be better next year. Be better.
That's right. That is right.
All right, well, with that, y'all have a fantastic night. Bye! Thank you for listening to this episode of Gay Talk 2.0. Tune in next time for more dish.